Yes. 7 yeas, no nays.
That motion carries. The resolution is adopted, and the public hearing is set for that December 10th council meeting right here. We have returning from last week's city council meeting. Clerk, correct me if I'm wrong, but we probably already had a motion and a second at last week's council meeting before it was discussed. Does that reflect with your records, or do we need a new motion and second? Okay. All right, we'll check with the minutes, but we are at resolution for the city council to approve the mayor or deputy mayor to execute the AIA AI 133-2019 agreement with Clark White, a joint venture to provide pre-construction and construction manager at-risk CMAR services for the city's new youth recreation center design project.
Excuse me, Mr. That is correct. You did motion.
It's already been moved and
Yes.
seconded. So
Yes.
now it is before us for debate and consideration. Does the administration have more that they wish to present before we discuss?
Well, I know the council's already aware of this, but just for purposes of the public, I know that when this was brought before council last week, there was a question around the comparison in construction phase, construction management pricing. So when we went out with an RFP for a construction manager for the Youth Recreation Center, we asked not just for their pricing for the pre-construction phase, but also for the construction phase. And so before this week's packet, or in this week's packet for the city council meeting, we included the bid tabulation for the pricing that was submitted by construction managers for the construction phase pricing. And that, of course, is what we're asking council to vote on, is approving Clark White for the construction phase construction management services. We have our attorney, Jeff Gallant, here, and I'll turn it over to him to add any additional details.
Microphone, I'm sorry. If you can hit the button on the right of the base of the black device. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Jeff Gallant from Clark Hill. Oh, yeah, that's correct. We were here last week. I was going through the A133 contract documents that we are proposing to sign with Clark White. And it is a full-service agreement subject to an eventual guarantee maximum price next year when the design is further complete. And we were just asking that be authorized to be signed. And then there was a discussion about bids, and that's why it got tabled to this week.
Okay. And thank you to the administration for the bid information. We now have had that with some time to review. I think the city attorney has stepped out, but I just wanted to, if you want to elaborate further on the action that the council took earlier this year or that preceded this, because they're sort of associated or
Right.
tie-barred related.
Right. So a couple months ago, we signed what we call a pre-construction only phase agreement with Clark White. It was a very limited service. It was before construction started, and it was just, so pre-construction basically means while the design is going on, the construction manager is hired to assist with estimating, scheduling, value engineering, things like that. So it's very helpful, and it's one of the recommended ways to go in this kind of project. And so that was only a pre-construction agreement. But as part of that, we had asked all the bidders to provide, if we move into a construction phase, what would your fees be for the construction? It's usually 1% of the cost of the work. What would you charge for insurance? So it's all things that the construction manager would charge on top of whatever the trade costs are. And then those trade costs are bid out, publicly.
Okay. What is the contract value that is before us?
It's not a lump sum because it is based on the cost of the work. So right now it's purely just based on 1.9% of whatever the cost of the work is. So all you're really saying right now is we're going to continue with Clark White for that limited pre-construction phase until that's done. And then eventually when they get to the point where they're able to bid the work out, they will come back and say for a guaranteed maximum price, this is the cost of the trade work for a particular scope, whether it's the whole project or it's just the earthwork or foundations. You can break it into smaller packages. And then they will mark it up based on the predetermined markups that we have in this agreement.
Should we anticipate that would come before this or future city councils for a final determination?
Yes.
Or is, okay.
Yes.
So those different points in the process will still come before City Council
Absolutely.
for approval. This allows for that joint venture of Clark White to continue with their rate structure to provide that CMAR service.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's helpful. I'm going to go down the road. If there's any discussion or questions, Councilwoman Rutherford.
Thank you first for coming. I cannot, in good conscience, vote on this contract. And I want to explain to people why. The reality of it is that we don't have the money to build a youth center. That's the reality. We were told that we could get a $15 million bond, go for bonds, low interest loans. We don't even know our bond rating. That's the reality. We also need a DPW department that's going to cost up to $12 million. We also, by June of 2027, would have went through our savings, and we don't know our finances yet. So even though this is going to pass, I cannot do this. It is not because I do not want a youth center. It is that this administration, yet again, has failed to deliver on the promises, and that's what they do to try to be rude, but I'll keep going. They failed to deliver on the promises that they have made to John Q. Public. We are signing a contract to build something we can't afford. When the council had solutions because we knew we couldn't afford it, it was we got to vote on it today or they're going to go away. We spent $3 million on one thing. I don't think it's ever going to be built. And it ain't because this council doesn't want to do it. It's because the administration doesn't have the bandwidth to handle simple accounting. So how can we handle the building of a youth center? And the millage must be renewed. So let's say we built this thing and then the millage isn't renewed. We're building a $40 million building that may not be able to be paid for. So I want to be clear because they're going to spread rumors and say, Councilwoman Rutherford doesn't want a youth center. That's a lie. I don't want to be able to look into people in District 1 face and say, hey, man, y'all property taxes went up. Hey, man, y'all got a new millage because we got to have a millage for the sheriffs. It's coming. Hey, man, we need a new DPW thing, and I'm sorry we got to put something else on you because it's wrong. So I wanted to explain my vote because you know how they do, Quincy. They tell you lies and Bass. They tell you lies. They're called Kermit. I'm tired of it. I can't do it. I can't do it. So I'm voting no. There you go.
Councilwoman Jones?
The idea of this contract execution makes me nervous. It has recently come to my attention that there are some unforeseen circumstances arising surrounding the funding of the new youth center. Now, like Councilwoman Rutherford said, we all want a youth center, and we all want a pool for that matter, but we still need a DPW facility. Our vehicles, our citywide vehicles need somewhere to be stored. Beyond that, approving the pre-construction idea for a project that we very well may not be able to afford, especially in light of the new information that has come about regarding the city's finances, that is not something that I could ever support. Because regardless of what happens next year at the re-election, I have to live with the decisions that I make while I am on council, and I have to be able to sleep at night and continue with my life without thinking about one mistake that I could have prevented. So although I was in favor of the youth center, the entire design, and in fact approving the $37 million design that we went through, we had several designs in front of us, I was in favor of it. Had I known then, had the information about the city's finances come out at that time, I would have been on council president's side and looked at a more affordable option that would not have put us in financial jeopardy of creating more turmoil for our city. And by approving this contract, I feel like that is setting us up to be yet again publicized in an article for unflattering reasons. I am tired of reading the Oakland Press and not always seeing positive things about our city. I always think, oh, yay, we were mentioned. And then you read it, and that smile starts to dissipate because of the embarrassment that takes over, because of why we are being mentioned in these articles. So I will cut this short. I know we are trying to be conservative of time, but I will be voting no because I have questions regarding our finances and our ability to even execute the youth center. And that's unfortunate because it puts me in an ethical bind because as far as I'm aware, this construction is also funded by some of the ARPA dollars, correct? I mean, because and that means if we do not as a whole approve this, this is now more money that we are going to lose. And that's not what I want. Like I said, I don't let Cole's cash expire. But why approve a contract? Why execute? Why allocate money towards a project that you can't afford? The vision for the finances for funding this project is not clear. It's becoming quite hazy and it's concerning. That is why I'll be voting no.
Councilman Goodman? Nothing? Okay. Pro Tem Carrington?
No, I'm good.
Councilman James?
Well, I can understand the concerns that council members have, given the fact that we have lost yet another highly competent finance director, which unfortunately is creating discomfort on the part of the council. But we are in a situation here where we really need to understand that problems are going to still have to be solved. We have some serious problems here. The biggest is the fact that we just do not have the quality of financial support in this city that's required when you're trying to do these kinds of major projects. I think the council, I think the mayor and administration need to establish some extremely they need to establish a coordination between the finance people, and I think this is already a discussion topic. We have a finance consulting company that's coming in. Despite how bad things look, we have to work our way through it as a council and as an administration. I'm not ready to throw in the towel. I'm sorry. I'm still on the council. I get paid. They're getting paid. We're not in the position to throw in the towel. We have got to figure this out. We've got people on the payroll whom we are paying umpteen dollars to design a youth center. The demolition of McCarroll has taken place. We've got to move forward here, and we have got to solve this problem. And the major one, how are we going to pay for this rec center? We can do it. We can do it. But we've got to work together to figure out, to put that plan together. I was hopeful that we would be able to put it together with the finance director. That's not going to happen. We are now going to have to put that plan together with a finance consulting firm. But the bottom line is we will have to put together the plan for funding the rec center. And I believe that that can get done. So I will be voting yes because I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to say what we can't do when we can. It's just as easy to say, yes, we can do this, as it is to say, oh, no, we can't. Because you don't know that we can, that we can't. No more than I don't know that we can. But I think we have gone too far with this rec center to give up now. We've got some serious challenges, but I think if we all work together, put our heads together, we can make this work. We don't have a choice, really. We really don't have a choice. I think the people on the payroll need to understand that they're going to have to get off the pot and get something done. You're getting paid to do a job here. And there just is no excuse for you not doing it. We have got to make this work. We need a plan to finance that youth center. We need a plan. And that's got to happen. And I think council has a responsibility to work with the administration to get that done. I believe it can get done, and so I will be supporting it.
Council firmly, I think all of council agrees there needs to be a plan and a strategy that finances and funds the Youth Recreation Center that works, that's feasible, that's manageable. The administration moved heaven and earth to get before council an approved conceptual design to land a timeline. And then when they moved heaven and earth, in part, it set us up for some of these headaches now with even the finance director vacancy that we have today. But setting that aside, when they moved heaven and earth to get a conceptual design before council and through council, August is to September, September is to October, October is to November. That's 3 months at least, where I have not seen any material progress that puts more concrete plan or strategy about the financing or funding of it. At the Finance and Personnel Committee meeting on Thursday, part of the reason why we're reaching some of these frustrations is that the departing finance director gave us very clear and very concerning signals about the challenges with how you get there, how you can be eligible to get a credit rating, how you can be, moving forward with municipal bonds if that's the funding path that's set forward. Now, the administration should not be rewarded for not having that better, outlined. I am not trying to reward them on that. I don't want to send that message to them, though, and close off this process. If this yes vote obligated us or, tied our hands to X millions of dollars that it must be constructed, I'd be a no, because they have not shown the community in this council that this is a priority enough that they're going to get in and down to brass tacks and explain how this is not going to jeopardize the city and our finances. But should those decisions come that would be millions of dollars being decided, if we are still at this early elementary stage and they have not spelled out how we are safeguarding and protecting the taxpayers and the solvency of the city here, we all remember what Pontiac has been through. That's the reason why that the council is so alarmed about the leadership vacuum on finances broadly, is that we never want to jeopardize the full faith and credit and viability and financial stability of this great city. It was so painful. We have felt that pain, and it will reverberate for decades to come. We're trying to avoid that calamity. So I, as a city council person, will not be voting to tie us into something unless and until there's a plan, there's a strategy, and it's sound. What this vote does tonight, it allows us to move with a pre-construction manager. It does not lock us in. So I am a yes vote on this, where it gives them maybe breathing of a few days, maybe a few weeks. We'll see what insanity is to come with ARPA obligation, but at least when the pre-construction manager and construction manager, that doesn't put us in financial jeopardy. Contracted attorney, can you speak further in terms of any financial exposure or liability by this particular action?
No, you're exactly right. I mean, all we're doing is continuing basically with the pre-construction phase, but communicating with the construction manager that we are going to hire them for the construction phase, and part of that is getting the bids and getting pricing and then coming back to you and saying, here's what it's going to cost, a firm price. And then at that point you can say, we can't afford it. Then don't go forward. But it's like the chicken and the egg. You got to have them do the design, do the cost estimating, come back to you and say, here's what it's going to cost. And then you can say yes or no. And if you can't afford it, then you stop. Or you figure something else out, or you de-scope the work. But all you're doing right now is just signing a contract saying, here's the process. Here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to continue estimating. Here's how we're going to lock in our markup once we get the pricing. But you're not committing to millions of dollars. I agree. If you don't have the money to pay for it, you can't do it. But you're not there yet. You're still in the pre-con phase, working your way up. Eventually going to get a guaranteed maximum price proposal, either for the whole project or for portions of it. And then you can decide, do we have the money or not? If you do, and you want to go forward, great. If you don't, then you've got to cancel the project or de-scope it. Those are your options. Everyone does it. That's the way it works.
Got it. Thank you. Council, well, we got a few hands. So, Councilman Rutherford?
So I hear you saying we could or we won't, but we only voted on this because we were told we had a clear pathway. We were told this. So pardon me if I'm scared because we didn't lie to folks, because we was lied to. And that's the truth. We were lied to. We were told we have a clear pathway. We're going to get this money. Everybody was excited. He called Norbert. Norbert went all off on us on Facebook because I'm trying to tell everybody, and Michael told people, and Karen told people, we can't afford it. So I'm scared because we already locked in for somebody to build the $3 million we gave. Who was the people we gave the $3 million to? With Chicago, the Chicago firm. Thank you, brother. We did that because we believed them. We believed them. And now the financial director, because she was a gangster, she said, no, ma'am, and no, sir, there is no clear pathway. And that's why I'm saying at some point we got to be like, cuz we didn't got lied to. I know y'all don't like that word, lie, falsehood. We been played, and I'm scared. Because long after you gone and he gone on to glory, we still got to live here. And I don't want to be the one to say, and I'm sorry, I voted for this because of the pressures and the misinformation and the blatant lies, because that's what they did. They lied to us. So I get what you're saying, but I don't believe nothing that come from that side. So I don't know what to tell you because, I'm voting no, but we got to be, we got to stop this. That's all I'm saying. I know you saying it don't mean nothing, but everything we do means something, President. Every time we give this administration grace, they have spit in our face. They have, and I know they don't want to hear that. I know, listen, I'm public enemy number one, but I'm calling what it is. You cannot trust nothing that is being told based upon when we find out the truth, it's already too late. We didn't vote for it. We was told, this is all I'm going to say. We was told this Maddie Park needed to be finished, even though I told y'all it was political. And they did all this rabble rousing. And at the end of the day, it was political. We was told the youth center had to be done. It's political because they want to get reelection. But I don't care no more. I care about people that we got to still live with. And I don't want to be emotional. I'm being real. We are being played. Played, man.
Councilman Parker, followed by Pro Tem Carrington.
Thank you, Brother President. I just want to know, after reading the resolution itself, how much does this contract cost?
Well, for now, you're just indicating that you're going to continue paying the pre-construction phase fee of $21,020, and you're agreeing to a process. You're agreeing that eventually they'll get bids, and when they get bids, they'll come back to you and say, this is what it's going to cost. This is what their markup is for their fee. Will you agree to go forward? And they'll guarantee to do it for that price. So you're just agreeing to the process right now because the design is not done. So no one can tell you exactly. There's an estimate. We have an estimate which is within the budget that has been, when you decide on which concept plan, they're still within that $37 million total project.
So you said 41,000.
21,020.
21,020.
That's the pre-con fee.
And how long would this contract be for? For the duration?
I
And
think
does the money increase?
if you agree to this, and nothing will really happen financially until they come back to you with a guaranteed maximum price proposal, but the whole project will take end of 2026, I think.
26.
Yeah, December 2026 will probably be done.
Thank you.
And just to keep in mind with the ARPA funds, we got to have this from my perspective, you need this full contract for it to show that show the project's been obligated. So you might have an issue if you just kept the pre-con only phase beyond this year. So that's the other reason, just that's in the background. You'd be taking a bigger risk if you don't have this from that perspective.
So you're saying we will, and I hate to cuss because I'm a preacher, but you're basically telling me I'm damned if I do and damned if I don't.
Well, the good news is you're really not committing yourself to financially to anything else. I mean, you're paying your architect to go forward. You want the construction manager's full attention by this contract. but you're really not committing to anything of significant costs until they come back to you with the guarantee maximum price proposal. And they're going to need your blessing to go forward with that process. That's where the real dollars are going to come.
And that process is going to take until 26, you say?
No, they're going to come back in the spring or summer of next year saying the design is done, we've gone out, we've got bids, here's what it's going to cost. Do you want to agree to pay, let's just say $31 million, that's the current estimate, to go forward. But by then, you're going to have to make sure you have the funding in place.
Okay, Pro Tem Carrington, you have the
Yes, thank you, President McGinnis. I understand everybody on the panel, as well as myself when it comes to financing. But I also want to tell this council that the scope of this project doesn't have to be $37 million. We haven't got to that point. I was very, I definitely didn't want to shoot for the $49 million. But we agreed that if they couldn't raise the funds with philanthropy, that we had an opportunity to scope this project into something more manageable that we can afford as a city. So I just want to let everybody keep that in mind. I never thought that we can raise $40 million. I was hoping that we can raise $40 million. So the thing is that I definitely want to see us build a rec center in this city. And if council has to come to a point and say, hey, we need to bring that scope down, reasonable, then that's what I'm for. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Jones, the second time.
Yes, second and last time speaking. Timing is everything. And that is pretty much the theme of what I'm about to say here. We, as you said, could agree to the pre-construction, go through the designs, and come out next year in the same position, or, maybe closer to the goal. But, moral of the story here, attorneys don't spend time on cases they don't think they're going to win. I don't feel we should spend time right now allocating time, resources, money to this project that is not clear when we have other more pressing matters. I don't want to lose this ARPA funding, but I encourage council to think of it like this. I mean, I don't want to abandon the idea. We do need a youth center. We're talking about the revitalization of Pontiac, every week. We do need a youth center. We need an updated library. We need an ice skating rink, and we need a Starbucks and a movie theater. But this is not the time for that right now. Yes, we'll lose the ARPA funding, but if the vision is solid and the path is clear, supporters, and if our finances are handled, supporters will come to to join in the journey when the time is right, when we're in a better position to handle a contract like this. And there is nothing in my repertoire of business knowledge that would allow me to agree with this in, all honesty. It probably will pass, but I want my opinion expressed, and I want everyone to know why I am voting no. This is a business decision.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to add context to the conversation for the residents who were not privy to subcommittee meeting and to other information that has been shared directly with City Council. So it has been said that there was bombshell information that came out, and I would like to say that whereas that may have been news to some individuals, there was not a sudden amazing shift in where the city's finances were. The finance director, Ms. Deanne Irby, looked at the finances and looked at everything that was there and said that in her opinion, she believed that this was a very aggressive project. I think everyone on council has always said that this is a very aggressive project. It has been stated that we cannot get the bonds or we cannot do a bond. That is not a correct statement. It is true that the city does not currently have a bond rating. That is not new information. That is something that has been known, has been discussed in the past. The process to get a bond rating is something that we have discussed about going through and what we would be doing. But it is not as if this information is suddenly available and was not available before. That is the sum total of what I wanted to say.
Well, I hope that felt good to get off your chest. We have a motion before us. It's at the crossroads, and your ability to convince me that I should keep my yes vote a yes is about saying that I am not accurate or delusional to say it's not a bombshell that after 3 weeks, your finance director flew the coop, does not want to work here. That's a bombshell I learned Thursday after the Finance and Personnel Subcommittee meeting. I think that's a bombshell. In that subcommittee meeting, as they identified, this outgoing finance director identified all these critical, basic elementary functions that aren't happening with the city's finances. Those were eye-opening, shocking, and bombshells to me, where you've already heard council members express lack of confidence in the basic functioning and execution of the finances that are necessary to do projects large and small. I find that to be a bombshell category. And also, the finance director is sharing to the city council they don't see any tangible plan or strategy to fund or finance a youth recreation center. And she didn't say of X amount. She was saying, period.
That's what she said.
That there isn't a funding strategy. In the 3 months since we've approved the conceptual design, we don't have it. If it's there, it has not been provided to city council unless anyone else can illuminate to me a broad strategy, not even the specific hands-on nuts and bolts strategy. So out of frustration, I will not change my yes vote to a no vote to cut off my own nose, because it's not my nose. It's all 62,000 of our nose. I'll allow the pre-construction process to go forward, but do not think that the city council and the citizens of Pontiac would not find the hollowing out of the city's basic finances good. Not a bombshell. It's a bombshell to me, and we'll get into that furthermore. But in terms of the ability to feel good or confident that they can handle basic projects, let alone massive, complex projects that could be a bulk of our general fund if we don't bond for it or we don't get grants for it, we got to know what we're signing up for. So those decisions will come, but I find it to be a bombshell, and I'm not a bombshell exclamation kind of guy. But yeah, that's a bombshell. And that is what came out of Finance and Personnel. To the specific point that the deputy mayor has made about our bonding capacity, Councilwoman Rutherford did not imply that we did not ever know. What the finance director on her way out is telling the taxpayers and the city council is that we don't even have the basic functions of paying bills, of bank reconciliations, and other basic functions of finances that would even make you eligible to go for municipal bonding. And that's what the council members are trying to express, their worry and concern about major commitment, us the taxpayers making that commitment. So tonight, we can go forward on a pre-construction manager, we can clear this tiny little hurdle, but make no mistake, this city council will not approve a blank check or an unfunded mandate, no matter how noble the cause is, across the board in any category. So we don't have to quibble over, what's gaslighting, what's bombshells, what's a lie, or what's just a promise that can't be fulfilled. But these are serious matters, and this city council and this city council person will not try and repeat the mistakes of decades past that signed us up for bills we couldn't pay when they came due. And that's that. Any other discussion on the pre-construction manager resolution?
I call for the vote.
Okay, if there's no more discussion, we can vote. Clerk Doyle, roll call on adoption of the resolution on Clark White.
Carrington,
Yes.
Goodman,
Abstain.
I thought it's the.
You can't
You can-
abstain.
If the city attorney.
No.
He voted no, honey.
James,
Yes.
Jones,
No.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Parker,
No.
Rutherford.
No.
3 yeas, 4 nays.
Y'all,
All right, that concludes number 10. We are at the new number 11 on the
So
agenda.
moved.
It's a resolution prohibiting images or promotions of elected officials, candidates for office on the cover of city newsletters, mailings in 2025.
Heath.
It's been moved by Councilwoman Rutherford, seconded by Councilman Goodman. So this matter is before us. It's a council resolution. Councilman Rutherford, go for it.
Yes. Let me clear my throat. How y'all doing? Whereas the city of Pontiac has improved the regularity, information, content, and usefulness of regular mailings and city communication with residents in the past 3 years, including the printing and mailing of a quarterly city newsletter. And whereas the city newsletter is complied and designed by the city staff and contractors, and the cost of printing and postage is paid by the city taxpayer funds. And whereas the city of Pontiac has entered into a year of municipal elections in 2025, where the mayor position and all the council seats will be decided by voters now. Therefore, be it resolved, the Pontiac City Council prohibits the images of promotion of current elected officials in the city or prospective candidates for the city office on the front page of future City of Pontiac newsletters or other printed communications mailed to Pontiac households in 2025. And further resolve, the City Council encourages the spotlighting of Pontiac's many destinations, Pontiac parks, Pontiac neighborhoods, Pontiac's natural beauty, and Pontiac's progress to be on the cover of the future city newsletters and other printed communications mailed to the Pontiac household. That was signed November 19, 2024.
Okay, that's the motion before us. Any discussion?
I do have one thing.
Councilman Rutherford.
I think that this is important because people can be using the taxpayer dollars to promote themselves instead of promoting the city. And I applaud you for having this done. That's it.
Councilman Goodman.
I mean, just to say it transparently, as someone who does a lot of political work in other cities, specifically Wayne County and the city of Detroit, I'd prefer that we not act like Janice Winfrey through this election, which means not using taxpayer dollars to campaign for yourself.
Any further discussion on the motion before us? Hearing none, roll call. Clerk Doyle on the resolution prohibiting images or promotions of elected officials, candidates for office on the cover of city newsletters and mailings in 2025.
Goodman,
Yes.
James,
No.
Jones,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Rutherford,
Yes.
Carrington.
Yes.
6 yeas, 1 nay.
That motion carries. The resolution is adopted. We are now at public comment. Any requests, Pro Tem?
Ms. Karen Jurgensen?
The microphone isn't on yet. It's the button to the right on the base.
There we go. Good evening, everyone. Karen Jorgensen, resident of downtown Pontiac, owner of Pontiac Still Art Theater, the Green Room Cafe, Karen Jorgensen Associates, K&R Studios, and 47 North Inc. I am numb. I was hoping for quite a long time that the ARPA funds would have been distributed by now. And I do know that Deborah Younger and her team have been diligent about trying to get things moved forward, and my appreciation to their hard work, even though they've had so many obstacles. I know that I met with our city attorney and asked, why these contracts had been sitting on her desk for technical support since January, and just got round and round about, who, what, where. I've also been trying to get parking instigated or implemented downtown. It's been detrimental for quite a long time, and even the mayor doesn't know whether we're getting ticketed or not ticketed. I know that Mark was here earlier to try and get something forward with the downtown lots. That has been put off since I've been living downtown, almost 16 years now. We just are down to Bank of America being an ATM now. We don't have a grocery store. We don't have a pharmacy. We don't have a lot of things. We have 6 years that we've been waiting to get the marijuana license through, and I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. I'm just saying the reality is if we don't look at what needs to get done ASAP, we've got 29 plus buildings sitting downtown that a great economic development that we are not taking advantage of. There's dollars sitting around. There's businesses that want to get started. There's people like myself, selfishly, that want to employ more people. I want to grow my cafe. I want to grow my theater. I want to grow my other businesses, but I just feel like my hands are tied. And today, I was hoping that I would hear that our place got a grant so that we could move forward. But we didn't. And so you just get more creative as an entrepreneur. So now it should be all hands on deck. That 28 or 22, whatever $1 million it is, that money needs to be sat down and looked at, like how can we allocate this money and use it to the best? Yes, we need a rec center. It's not going to happen this year, but the monies that we could use towards other things to grow economically downtown, let's put that money forth to that. I am here to volunteer, whatever you need. I don't care if I need to wash your clothes or bring you food or proofread anything. Let me know. My building's open to help in any way to get this ARPA fund done. Thank you.
There's a couple reports upcoming on the agenda, including Cypria and the status of the Finance Department. I went to the Finance Subcommittee meeting last week, particularly